Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into some fascinating news out of Austria.
Austria.
Yeah, Austria. That's
Yeah.
all about their brand new coalition government. I've got some excerpts here from a news article titled, Austria Forms New Coalition Government. And let me tell you, this is a pretty wild ride.
Oh, I bet. What's going on over there?
Well, first off, just to form this government, it took them five months.
Wow.
5 months of negotiations. That's
Oh.
got to be like the longest in Austrian history, right?
It certainly speaks to how complex the situation is over there. You know, this new coalition, it's like a direct response to, to the far-right Freedom Party, the FPÖ.
Oh, yeah, the FPÖ. They were making headlines.
Right. They actually won the last election.
Mhm.
And it sent shockwaves through the political landscape. A lot of folks, other parties, they were, concerned, to put it mildly.
Concerned, I think alarmed might be a better word.
Yeah, you're probably right. So these other parties, they started looking for ways to stop the FPÖ from gaining even more power.
Okay, so this coalition, it's basically an alliance to keep the FPÖ in check. Kind of a last resort, huh?
Exactly. Polls were showing that if they had another election, the FPÖ, they might have just swept it. And nobody wanted to see that happen. So this coalition, it's made up of the SPÖ, that's the Social Democrats.
Right, the SPÖ.
And then there's the ÖVP, the People's Party, and this is the kicker, the Neos Party joined too.
Hold on, the Neos.
Yeah.
Wait, the Neos are in the government.
They are. First time ever at the federal level.
Whoa, that's a big deal. So now you've got these three parties, all with their own, ideas and goals.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely not all on the same page about everything.
But they had to come together.
They did. And, the Neos joining, that was actually crucial. See, without them, the coalition would have had just the slimmest majority.
How slim are we talking?
1 seat.
Just 1 seat. That's cutting it close. Talk about pressure. I mean, every single vote would matter.
Absolutely. Governing with such a tiny margin, it would have been a nightmare. And get this, the Neos, to approve joining the coalition, they had an internal vote. And guess what?
Let me guess. Everyone voted yes.
94%.
94%. That's almost unanimous.
Mm-hmm.
So they were clearly ready to jump into this, despite all the potential friction points.
Right. Like, we've got the SPÖ. They're all about social welfare, you know, taking care of people. And then you've got the Neos. They tend to be more, more economically liberal, let's say. They like things like, free markets and limited government intervention.
Yeah, two very different approaches. All right, so who are we looking at here? Who are the big players in this new government?
Okay, so leading the charge, we have the SPÖ leader. They're taking on the role of chancellor. And then as vice chancellor, we have the ÖVP leader.
Makes sense. The SPÖ got the second highest number of votes, so they get to call the shots. Plus, they snagged the finance ministry, right?
Yes, they did. That's a pretty powerful position to be in. They'll have a lot of control over the money.
Okay, now the Neos. They might be the smallest party at the table, but they walked away with some pretty important ministries: foreign affairs and education.
Right. That was a surprise to a lot of people. I mean, those are some pretty high-profile positions, especially for a party that's never been in federal government before.
So how did they pull that off? What kind of, backroom deals went down,
Well, like I said, coalition politics, it's all about compromise. The Neos, they probably had to give a little to get a little. Maybe they agreed to support certain policies that they weren't totally thrilled about, in exchange for those ministries.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this coalition's up and running. What's next?
Yep.
What are they planning to do?
Well, one of the big things they're planning is to change the asylum rules. They want to make them stricter. And one of the ideas is to temporarily pause family reunification, which that's definitely a controversial one.
Yeah, that's going to make some people unhappy. It sounds like a move to appease the more conservative voters.
Right, and it's probably a way for the ÖVP, which leans more conservative, to get some of what they want in this coalition.
Sure. But what about the SPÖ? I mean, traditionally, they've been all about, more open immigration policies. How are they going to spin this to their supporters?
That's a good question. This is where that whole balancing act comes in. They've got to find a way to keep everyone happy, or at least not too angry. It'll be interesting to see how they try to pull that off.
For sure. What else is on their agenda?
Well, they're also looking at revising tenancy laws.
Tenancy laws.
Yeah, laws about renting and landlords and all that.
Yeah, right. Big issue in Austria, right?
Huge. Housing it's a major concern, especially in the cities. And any changes to these laws, that's going to affect a lot of people. It's bound to be, let's just say there will be some heated discussions about it.
Definitely. Renters, landlords, everyone's going to have an opinion on that one. And what about benefit cuts? Are those on the table?
Yep. Those are definitely being talked about.
There's always a touchy subject.
It is. But it's something that almost every government has to grapple with at some point, right? Especially in a coalition like this where you've got different parties with different priorities. It's going to be a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, trying to keep everyone happy, keep the economy stable, and all that. All right, so let's recap here. We've got this unique and possibly kind of fragile coalition government in Austria. They formed up to block the far right from winning another election.
Yep. And the Neos, they're right in the thick of it. They may be the smallest party, but they're definitely going to have an impact.
No doubt. And the policies they decide to put in place, well, those are going to have some serious consequences.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like immigration, housing, and, those benefits we were talking about.
Absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to watch how this all plays out. I mean, will this coalition even hold together? Can they actually work together and get things done?
Those are